Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Astropub, ladies and gentlemen. How y'all doing today? Got everything working on this side. Double check something real quick. All right. Welcome. Hey, Paul, I thought you were slightly incorrect about something on Thursday. Okay, what was I incorrect about? And thoughts on we have heard about engineering, I may actually call in. You said engineering will be held back because not all ships support it, but that's why CIG gave us the MFD repair function for single-seater ships. Oh, jeez. Hold on. Guy's already dead. I'm gonna steal it. Oh, it's raining. Scare the shit out of him. No, I saw. But the reality is that the amount of time it's going to take for them to actually get everything functioning and worked out, they'll probably end up working through most of those ships. The thing that we'll likely see is not engineering on every ship, but engineering on every ship that is multi-crew. The single-seater ships were never supposed to have super in-depth engineering. Yes, invisible mug. They will just add more ships over time for engineering. It's the least pressing part for me. I just think the CIG is likely not going to do that. I know they said something, but CIG saying something and doing something are two entirely different things. God, the fucking shiv sounds like it's about to explode every time it takes a jump. Clearly the bucket is load bearing. My Hopium, Absolute Hopium take is a 4.0 preview style build of engineering before end of year. It's definitely not happening, but like, gimme, it's not gonna happen. The reality is that CIG is likely bit off more than they can chew with 4.4. I will caveat this. It is a PTU, it's an Evocati build. Evocati builds are notoriously unstable, and some of the most stable patches I've ever played had awful PTU builds. But the current Evocati build feels like they needed to get it out, so they pushed it out to Evocati rather than it's like ready for Evocati. I played it today a little bit. Fun fact, I got it. Lagski is back, ladies and gentlemen. Lagski is back. There's a current bug right now where when you spawn into your hangar, if you try to go into Levski itself proper, the elevators from the hangar to Levski doesn't work. So you have to call a ship, take off, land on the exterior pads. There's an elevator that a lot of them are connected to, and those elevators work. So then you land on the exterior pads and go into the elevator, and then go into Levski itself. Oh, it's atrocious, y'all. The average player will fucking hate it. They'll lose their goddamn mind over it. Again, it's an Evocati build. These builds are unstable and they're shit. Like, they've got a lot of stuff in the background running. So that's not me saying that it's over, boys. It's what I'm saying is that I am pessimistic about CIG's ability to make this work in the time they have. Not that they can't make it work, but in the time they have left. It's pretty bad even for a normal Evo.
Landing gear down.
Again, granted, as my fellow Evocati members know, there are legitimately Evocati builds where the whole goal is, can you log into the game? Like, that is quite literally what you need to do. Is like, hey, will this work? I never once expected anything but the return of Lagski. Yeah. Yeah, but the hype cycle demands that they have stuff for the end of the year, so. Okay, over here. We're not going to get dynamic server meshing until the end of next year. might see some benefits, some improvements. Jesus Christ. It's just time. I still haven't done the recon missions. I'm gonna try this one, but I'll probably die. So let me empty my backpack here.
You're all done. Nice one. I'll get you paid.
Yeah, it's a call one today. If you, for those who want to call in, you'll be on. It'll be on the Discord.
You just killed a friend. Someone who believed in a better empire. You took them away. You did that.
Let me do this. All right, that should be good. The main barter zone and teaches ship shop are perfect recreation zone. Oh yeah. But yeah, what's holding up the dynamic server meshing is just time. They need time to put the tools together, and it's clear that the main priority for server meshing, dynamic server meshing right now is instancing. That's the first step of dynamic server meshing. It's like tier 0 of dynamic server meshing is instancing. Again, though, y'all, it's important to remember it's an Evocati build. So it could get better and probably will get better. I'm just trying to set expectations as low as possible so that people aren't losing their mind, because it's going to likely be bad only because they have, yeah, someone said like 19 days left. They have to release this, no matter what, in 19 days. It'll all work out. Pyro got a lot of work done while waiting for static meshing. Next will be done while dynamic is still under construction. Be worth the wait. I'm not saying, like, again, I'm not trying to say like doom and gloom, it's over, boys. Pack it up. What I'm trying to say is it's important to keep in mind that likely, despite CIG's best efforts, we're going to see a lot of instability in the game for the next year. Most people are hyped over the engineering test rather than Nick's. But it's important to remember with engineering, it's just going to take them a long time. And again, this is more reading the tea leaves than it is directly related. But based off of CIG's culture and how they have done things in the past, I would very much expect CIG to take heart with a lot of the positive feedback from engineering, from the test, and for them to take a hard look at how long it's going to take them to get it done, and likely just delay the release as long as possible so it's as good and as possible when it releases. And that delay will likely end up causing more ships to be added to that list than are currently there, if not all of the medium ships to do so. It's crazy that the CIG has already have had. They still need a whole lot more. It's not necessarily a matter of like more time equals better game, or that it's like a linear to get X, Y, or Z done. Software development isn't the same as video game development. They're similar, but video game development has a lot more in common with TV or film production than it does software, because every video game is made from scratch. Sometimes they use some assets, but there's not a single game that I've ever heard of that just takes Unreal or Unity and then just builds a game on top of it without modifying the fundamental parts of the engine. Because those engines are great, but they lack a lot of detail that most games want to use in order to improve their overall appeal. So as a result, games take time. Even asset flips tend to have some modifications to the engine to make them work. Dear Christ, that's loud as shit. What? From scratch on top of an existing game engine. CIG has done that with their own engine. Exactly. So time isn't always the thing that you need. There's not like a time limit for these sorts of things. If CIG was making a game for much less ambitious game, yeah, the things should have been done a little bit faster if they were more limited. But CIG is doing stupid things. And I mean stupid, as in no one in video games would ever make a game like Star Citizen because they would know how much work would entail with it and how many problems would happen. And so how many solutions you'd have to come up with, like, on the fly to problems which probably wouldn't give you exactly what you wanted, but enough what you needed. Are we excusing the current state of Star Citizen or making a general point? Well, the point I was trying to make was, someone was like, well, it's crazy how long it's taken for CIG to do engineering. You'd think they'd get more done yet. They still have more time to do. They still have more time to do. This was a comment. And my point was, like, timing these sort of things doesn't work very well, because it's not really the same sort of process as like a banking app. Like there's parameters that you can use to judge with like other banking apps and stuff like that. I'm trying to make a point that, just generally speaking, video games are not like apps. They're more like movies or television shows where things can change on the fly, because either things work, some things don't work. You run into problems, you have to work around them, that kind of thing. We're not going to do questions, Shadowstalker. So if you want to ask questions now, I'll do my best to answer them. Try this again. God, you just can't get that one mission. Like, this is the one I can only find. Let's go to another one. I heard Microtech's pretty good. The problem Star Citizen has right now, in terms of issues, is that are that a lot more frustrating ones seem to be the result of just abysmally poor choices on their behalf. Like what, Twigster? It's crazy that people can think that they know how long they can take to not being developers in the industry with no knowledge of plans for constraints or dependencies. The only thing that's consistent in my study of how video games are made is that the complexity of the project will determine the length it will take to produce a game. The more simple a project is, the faster it'll be done. The more complicated it is, the longer it will take. That is pretty much the only constant that I can see in video game development. Other than that, size of game developers, like the number of game developers that made, like genre times, that none of that shit matters. There are games that are big and sweeping that were made with 10 people and a toothbrush. And then there are games which are like tiny and focused that took 2,000 people and a budget of several $billion. Like, that's an over-exaggerated, but yeah, that's like, there's very little like overall rules in video game development, other than shit will go wrong. The video games are the only thing that like actively fight to not exist. The only type of art form that actively fights to not exist. Which version, Coffee? Because PUBG was actually a mod for Arma 3 by a guy by the name of PlayerUnknown. So it was made by, I think, one to like a handful of people originally. The failure to have LTP on things like in-game bot ships, Wicklow stuff, and executive ships. That to me is less of a failure of like the development and more of a failure of planning and priorities. Don't get me wrong, I constantly feel like CIG is awful at prioritization in terms of who gets what resources. And I think it's just because they are a company now of 1,000 people. CIG's problem stems from management, but when I say that, people immediately are like, yes, Chris Roberts is an incompetent manager, and blah, 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 blah. Like, no, that's... like, Star Citizen suffers from a problem that video game development has had for the last decade plus, if not its entire existence, which is putting people who are artists and coders in charge of managing people generally means awful management. You need people who are professional managers who understand and can like look at big picture stuff to sort of map out and create projects. You need a director, but a director doesn't exist without producers, and producers help that sort of process where they can actually take a look at the wider scheme, where the director focuses more on the day-to-day things. That's my kind of point, to be fair. They've gone off working on elements that are more vanity projects than critical elements of a successful game. I disagree with that that take. I think they're in a situation where, because Star Citizen is so fuck you complicated and requires so much effort, that it's deer in the headlights. They're basically like, well, we have a choice. We either work on this vital aspect or this vital aspect. We do not have enough resources to do both at the same time. And so they have to choose what they think is more vital. The problem being that whatever they choose is more vital is whatever was more vital 6 months ago, because it takes a long time for them to actually build these things up. Which is one of the reasons why I'm making a lot of noise now that CIG needs social fucking tools. Dear God, that needs to be a priority. Like LTP, yeah, obviously that needs to be worked on, and that's more important for immediate gameplay aspects. But if CIG wants to do what they said they want to do next year, they need fucking social tools. They need that new social tool system. Oh yes, that's been an issue in the games industry since the inception of the game industry. Coders think they're perfectly capable of doing everything better than anyone except art. This is one of the reasons why whenever someone says, unless you touch code, whenever someone says, unless you touch code, you're not a developer, I'm like, you've never fucking worked in any collaborative art in your whole fucking life. Coders don't exist without HR, without QA, without artists, without animators. Like, there's so much that goes into a video game that the fucking business manager is as much of responsible for the success of a game. Like marketing, producers, and like other management people. Yeah, like all of that is key. Okay.
Take away my spaceship.
God fucking damn it.
You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
These are the only ones that are working.
Monstratus just resubscribed for 43 months. Stand by for Titanfall.
Thank you so much for that 43 months of support there, Monstratus. You're very important, Pupper. Very impressive, sir. Very pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. I mean, Knowledge, you're a contract you do contract construction, right? So you have a good example. You would be a good example of somebody who has to work with limited resources and understands how to distribute those limited resources in an effective manner. So yeah, you would actually have the skill set that would work well for any video game company that needs that sort of thing. However, you would go crazy because you have to work with video game developers.
Hey, it's Stokes. Thanks for picking up the slack. You have more work than I know what to do with.
You are far more too extroverted for that. You let coders run the infrastructure themselves instead of pass it off to an sysadmin SRE crew. It's going to be about 75% uptime, about 50% of the time. Lately, I can't help feel it seem to be focused on things looking good. The art is higher priority. That's always been the case. And that's partially because the art is easier. Getting things to look good is a lot easier to do than getting things to function. Hard to make detailed points via Twitch chat. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I'm trying to make the point that one of their issues is that fixing things in order they want while not communicating it clearly is a very very invested in many sense of the world's community. So people get frustrated while not getting info to understand why. 100% on that one. The only thing I would challenge you, because this is a significant thing that I have a problem with, is sorry, just listening to the sounds the ship is making. Is how would you fix that? Because this is something that I've thought about too. Is like, how could CIG fix that? I come from the type of communities and families that are the family that's like, if you have if there's a problem and you highlight the problem, you have to have a solution, or at least an idea of a solution. Don't just yell at people with problems, because it's just not helpful. And so, like, quite honestly, other than they need to like actually sit down and do a gigantic flow chart of what needs to be done before what, in order for them to get things done, like in order. I don't know how they could do that. They could improve the communications with players in terms of what they're supposed to do. No, I know the shiv always sounds like it's falling apart, but like ow. Got your guy back.
I'm gonna mess you up.
This is the laziest thing I've ever seen. I don't know why I haven't been doing this. Answer for me, honestly, recognize the issues the community sees as big stuff. People have, give people some info on plans or for fixes. Maybe pause some rollouts on new stuff to show those things matter to them too. It feels like there's trust issues between CIG and Promises, their player base a bit. Okay, so what issues are there? Because the problem, here's where I get weird. I get off on it. So, like, the community is so big and diverse that everyone has a different problem. The game is unplayable. Okay, well, obviously they're working on that. The current flight modes suck. This ship I like is unbalanced or is too balanced. These suits don't work very well. This bug is causing it so I can't have this specific helmet on. There's not enough clothing for women. Where are the clothing for women? The servers keep dropping me out with 30Ks or like crashes. I get weird frame rate drops at random times. The elevators fail. Long-term persistence doesn't seem to work. Like, there's a litany of issues that people have. And to say, well, yes, we understand each individual one. You're going to miss somebody, and some people are going to make a big deal about it.
You can take away my space.
You just saved me like 8 hours. I'm glad.
You can take away my space. You can even take away my space lasers.
Don't be confused. This isn't me like shitting on you. It's more of like a this is a problem I understand CIG has. I just don't know how they can solve it.
Veritas just resubscribed for 15 months.
Thank you so much, Veritas, for that 15 months of support. You're very important, popular, very impressive, but very pedestrian. That's your fault. There's 100 good night. Shots and cheers and check. Oh, shots and cheers. They need to diagnose the game on the whole and make an issue council as a triage and not popularity contest. Also, problems can't be taken in, fixed in a new patch only. This is why I agree they need to add everything missing from here. Yeah, that's the issue that I see at the fundamental core, is that CIG is trying to make a fun game to get people engaged so that they can sell ships, while also building a game that is going to inevitably change because they do not have the core gameplay in. Engineering, the new flight model systems, hell, the medical system isn't fully completed. So, like, there's a lot of core parts of the game. I think the biggest one is flight engineering, scanning, Maelstrom. Those are the 4 big ones, in my opinion. And dynamic meshing, that's 5. Those are the 5 big ones that need to be addressed before CIG can start doing any sort of major changes. Because every time they add those things to the game, things are going to break. And then they're going to have to go back and fix those things. So it's just a constant firefighting. The economy is not really an issue as much as you think. The economy exists, but the economy can be tweaked. Like, this is going to sound stupid, but plenty of people will play the game not giving a shit about making money. They just want to have fun. The economy helps with long-term engagement, but again, it's harder to do the economy when you don't know how, like, armor is going to work in a game, or how engineering will affect the game itself. Because the economy involves repairs, replacement parts, all those all that cost, which if you balance it now and then you change it later because you have engineering, all that balance is basically thrown out the window. Yeah, and the problem, as Q-Ban pointed out, the problem being that there's a lot of the game itself, they just don't manage to keep up to keep everything working correctly. And to Knowledge's point, I think that problem stems from the fact that they constantly are changing things in the background. They don't have a solid base to work on. One of the good things about this year, in terms of the game, why it has been more stable than it has ever been before in the past. I know there's problems, but like in comparison, is because they didn't change anything in the background. Effectively, nothing. This is the same patch base as they've had the same patch base for a year. They haven't changed the fundamental background of the game for a year. In my opinion, the bugs will never go away until they put all the features. That's what Knowledge is saying, and that's what we're all saying, is that they need to get the features in, because you're just constantly going to fight an uphill battle by doing that. But at the same time, CIG needs to pay 1,000 employees, and releasing patches and releasing ships and new content is how they do that. But it's borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. It's a short-term gain for a long-term problem that causes the main problem they were having in the first place. Nah, come on. Things like LTP shouldn't be feature dependent. The problem is that, think about this. How many things need an LTP style solution? Because they've even talked about how they have an LTP solution for ships that are purchased with cash and an LTP solution that for ships that were purchased with purchased in game, right? And the in-game version was bad, and so they're just building the same sort of solution they have with the in-game, or that they have with the store, but for the in-game now. They've already talked about how they're building a brand new database for blueprints. Do they need a completely separate institution for something like, or solution for something like base building, or for things like reputation, right? Because a lot of those systems aren't fully implemented either. Maybe they need their own database solutions as well. So building an LTP solution now only to have it be not the solution they need to do for everything, and then it makes it easier for them to produce stuff later. Like, actually, I had fun the last 10 times I played. Yeah, no, like, the game is in a good, like, this is why I said I wanted to caveat, like, I'm not doom and glooming, y'all. This discussion isn't meant to be like doom and gloom. It's more to set like the actual realities of how the game is. Because like right now, I am playing the game. It works. I'm having a decent time. And there are some issues. But the fact that I'm getting this many frames is insane. I need to go get let me turn this off first. Drop this off. And the thing is that like they are actually doing the LTP solutions. That's something they're working on now. They talked about that with Benoit, I believe. Oh, that doesn't bode well. Will it actually complete?
What's up? Stove. Gonna send your pay.
I hope you remember their name.
Nope.
I really do.
No idea who they were.
I hope it haunts you until some scumbag puts a bullet in your brain.
Yeah, I'll just come back though. Start with a streamer you like and join their Discord. Yeah, that's a good option. There is plenty of great organizations out there. I mean, I have an organization that plays frequently, the League of Relic Enthusiasts. I have friends in Imperial Arms who play a lot. Ammo. The Immobile Infantry is the Immobiles is Detox's crew. They play all the time. Pretty much every person I've ever had on the captain's table that has an org, they've all talked about how pretty much at any time in their of the day, there are people playing the game. And the advantage is that if you get a crew that you like playing with, so like say if you get like an organization that you're with, an org you're playing with, then it's easier to get your friends back in because you're like, hey, I'm playing with these other people, come join us. And you'll have more support than just you trying to usher them in and herd them like cats. You'll have a lot more people to hang out with. They were good people. I wish the Headhunters missions were more than just ambushes. I mean, isn't that what all of the missions are? Or are the CFP missions a little different? Are they patrols? CFP the same? Yeah. All those running a big worm hunt right now, so usually it's one group doing something at all times. Yeah. This event feels very phoned in, and I don't blame the developers or the mission team for it. I feel like the mission team started off with this idea, and then they turned out it just didn't work well, so they sort of pivoted towards new storytelling, and they've gotten better at it. But now they have this like dangling piece of skin that is the Pyro Stanton War, the front. I call it the Pyro Stanton War, but they call it the Frontier Fighter Saga.
People clean up after themselves.
Some things just boggle the mind.
I feel like they're talking about me. It's like because there's no give me a trash bag. All right. Go. I got my cruise lux. Even the event is just reusing old missions. This time, ambush missions make sense. For monthly events, they need more missions. They need more mission content, just in general. That's one thing that this year was really great, was that we got fuck tons new missions. Like, there's been a absolute shit ton of new mission archetypes. For just every type of mission that exists, which is great. Funky hot dogs. We need more. Hey, Jack up. Away from home, you won't be watching the show. Awesome. I did post on the YouTube about it, so hopefully people will be joining us there. These new leaks from the Evo bill are spicy as fuck. Let's take a look at them real quickly. At least it's not freaking resource drive again. I like resource drive. I feel like resource drive was better than this. The only problem with resource drive was the missions didn't spawn properly, or the cargo missions, because of the elevators, didn't work. Sweet, I'm at no leaks for me. CZs are over working all better. I've seen in a while. Elevators working, card printers mostly working. Just got to fix the orange box issues. It was. I just had to do it for like 4 days straight and never want to use an Atlas ever again. Grinding is going to be part of the game, you know? I think the problem that CIG has is that the grind for Star Citizen has to have more than a month. So if you're going to do these sorts of events, they need to last 2 to 3 months. Yeah, there'll be people who just bomb through it super fast. That happens every MMO. People who know life it. But you have to develop it for the average player of your community. And from my experience, the average player of Star Citizen plays 2 to 4 hours a day and maybe 2 to 3 times a week. At most, they're playing like 12 hours a day. 12 hours a week. So if the mission itself requires, 40 hours to complete, then you're looking at barely finishing it in a month if players play it 3 times a week at 4 hours. But no one will finish it if they have to play less. And so you get people who feel like they have to do nothing but that for every play session, and that's not something you want to do. So like these events need to take place over a quarter, 2 to 3 months. Yeah, they don't do well with fitting the rewards.
Visit us again. Goodbye. Your insurance claim has been sent.
But that's just gameplay. The gameplay, the thing with gameplay that CIG needs to do is just increase the number of missions they have. And now that they have a new mission system, I don't know if it's fully done or not, but I know it's better than it used to be. Now that that's functioning, it should be they should be in a better position for. For increasing those missions per patch. Yeah, it's number and variety that needs to happen. And see if you can do that. They have proven over the last half year that they are very good at variety and using what resources they have to create a lot of new things. Hey, Darth Wookie. Elliot needs more meetings to churn out missions. I think they just need the flip side of that is they also need to maintain those missions. So whatever missions they do need to be maintainable. They can't be bespoke. Hey, is that a Redeemer I see in your hangar? I have a Redeemer, but no, I don't. Not in my hangar. If they do that, they'll kill half their player base. Grind is normal in video games. It's normal in MMOs. The solution to grind is to make the experience enjoyable and varied. And it's entirely possible for CIG to do that. They just need to start adding in some variants. For instance, here I'll pitch something. Just for the grind for cargo players, because I am a smuggler, which is just a spicy cargo running. Cargo needs variants. It needs unstable cargo. It needs specific storage for those cargos, so like hazardous cargo storage. They started with some of these ideas, and they kind of backed away from them. It needs varying weight sizes, like sizes and weights for cargo. It needs small, valuable cargo runs, not just larger volume runs. Odd shapes. This is going to sound stupid, but they need L's. L's and T's, and they need like odd-shaped storage containers so that players have to Tetris the storage. Yeah. They need things, and like some cargo shouldn't be placed with others. So like this type of unstable cargo shouldn't be placed near hazardous cargo because they interact and explode. Or it'll make the cargo inert, so you have problems. You need to have problem solving as part of the cargo stuff. All of that said, all that stuff I just said isn't impossible, and other games have done it. It's fairly simple in terms of gameplay design. They just have to figure out the rock, paper, scissors, and that sort of idea. So they don't have to do all of them, but just a couple of them. Then you just need to disperse those throughout all of your cargo missions, so that, and you can do them randomly, or you can have some sort of formula for it, and that makes cargo missions a lot more engaging. It'll slow them down a little bit, but you also have to kind of learn how it works.
But you can never,
Plenty of small games have done that sort of idea.
take away my space game.
iPrince Gaming just resubscribed for 8 months.
Thank you so much for that 8 months of support there. iPrince Gaming, you're very important, proper, very impressive, Mr. Van Mead pedestrian. That's your fault. There's some drinking night. Trust and cheers and chat, y'all. Trust and cheers. But as a result, the grind for cargo won't be that bad. And then they have all of these like things in their back pocket where they can start using some of these very same conditions for other gameplay loops. Like, for instance, you have to go into a bunker to retrieve hazardous cargo and then return that hazardous cargo as part of a mission chain for a new event that you're doing. Now, FPS players have to know what the fuck hazardous cargo is and how to handle it. So they either get a cargo player to do it for them or they have to learn that loop themselves.
To the ASOP vehicle return heist.
For me, that is the solution to the problem.
Staff, please visit us again. Goodbye.
Yeah, or shoot hazardous cargo, yeah. But to be fair, some enjoy different things. I don't mind being a box monkey. Others may not like it, and that's the idea. Is if you add variety, grind is necessary for engagement, but grind can be supplemented with differentiation. This is the teacher in me speaking, but not every single person is going to take to the same subjects the same way. So you need a differentiated approach as a teacher so that you have reading, you have audio stuff like lectures or maybe even videos. You've got discussions in groups. You've got tactile hands-on projects. You try to add as much differentiation for every subject you teach as part of the scaffolding to get students engaged with the topic. Then you figure out ways of differentiating the assessment, so because not everyone can express the ideas the same way. People who are better at talking about something will probably not be as good at writing it down. So, and that solution is the same thing you'd have in games. It's not that complicated. Differentiation in terms of what you're dealing with on a daily basis works. I play a lot of like humdrum games. Parcel Simulator was a game I played fairly recently that does it does this to a T, and lots of other games like it do this. Parcel Simulator is just it's a mail sorting simulator. You get mail and you have to send it either via the various different methods like truck or boat or plane. And then as you advance and get better at the game, they throw new twists onto each boxes. But you also get automated materials so that you can automatically sort and stamp each box properly and send them on their way. So you create this elaborate sort of sorting conveyor belt that does everything you want it to do, and you can design it how you want to. And sometimes you have to kind of step in because you don't have the right tools for it and all that sort of thing. But it does a gradual climb of difficulty, but it adds more variation. And that more variation becomes harder to deal with, and then it becomes more, because you like have to like learn how to sort through it, but it becomes more simple as you unlock new tools to help you deal with those same things. And you can do something similar with every kind of combat. Exactly, which is why I made the reference to what EDs did with engineering. Yeah, no, CIG shouldn't do what ED did with engineering, where it's just face punch difficult spike. That doesn't work. You need an actual, like, differentiation, that sort of stuff. Add to the fact it takes an hour of prep already. I think it's a little overblown. It doesn't take an hour of prep, but it definitely does take prep time. For your starting player, it takes some time to prep. especially if players are hanging out together. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Use one of our convenient self-check-in terminals. Start your treatment. Fast and reliable medical treatment is always with the doctor over.
Getting attacked by pirates, like this is an issue now. Piracy is dwarfed by griefers unless your irony is intent. I have no idea what you're talking about, dude. Like, I haven't encountered griefers or pirates in a long time. And I don't really see that a lot with people on an average basis. There's some spikes here and there, and it depends on where you go. Like, if you go to, I always forget the name of the fucking place down Hurston, the new jump town. It's an hour if you're herding cats, unless you pre-plan the herding. Lore are the Guifas. We keep taking ships somehow. Well, just don't park fucking shit in front of us. I just got interdicted yesterday. It's surprising, and there were a whole horde of them. Oh, interesting. Lucky you, but I was responding to a poster, not you. You said earlier that, like, the game is getting killed because of piracy or something like that. And like, citation needed at that point. Dupree, thank you. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I'm saying, like, I think it's an overblown aspect from some folks. All right, how much time do I have left? Got 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm gonna call it for here. Gotta set some stuff up anyways. I think some of the griefing vibe is overamped a lot because of the current meta on LFs over everything. LFs. I was commenting on engineering being a killer for new player acquisition. Oh, I don't think so. I doubt it. The thing that people need to, like, really wrap their head around is that engineering doesn't matter that much solo. It will affect solo fighters, and it'll make it more difficult for solo players compared to people in multi-crew ships. But engineering itself is its own profession. It's a gameplay loop, just like they want medic to be a gameplay loop. Having an engineer will be important, and as much as people don't seem to get, like, well, no one wants to do this. Yes, there are people who want to do this. There are plenty of people who want to be engineers because it's problem solving. It's on the fly problem solving. Engineering will kill capital ship purchases. I have heard stuff like that for so long, and I don't think it's true. Light fighters. Well, like, unless there's an interior area for, like, a heavy fighter, it'll also probably do that as well. Yes, why not stay solo in a Razor after engineering? Why progress to anything more that with no rewards, just pew-pew? I mean, you can progress more. You can progress into things like the freelancers or the like the medium ships are fine. And if you're going to be progressing up to the larger or capital ships, you just need other players to help you out. Put money on an Astropub. When is engineering in live? If I was to, if you put gun to my head and told me to make a prediction, I would say September of next year. Hello and good morning. Do we know with the RSI Salvation or the Drake Clipper? None of those. I don't recognize those. So many people want to do engineering. It's a proper sci-fi trope fantasy. Yeah. They've already said that AI crews will have tiers of capabilities. And they'll cost more money depending on how you hire them, but they're not a priority. What I mean is griefing is worse when you can't do much about it. Right now, there's if a griefer is semi-confident in a gladius, you can't fight them off unless you're in, if you're in anything bigger, unless you're in something that can tank enough shots and run away. Yeah. Do you think we'll get the repair ships with engineering? I do think so, but that's probably going to be next year at the earliest. Light fighter. Oh, LF means light fighter. Okay. I get it. I got you. I have a title for this captain's table. People are going to hate it. It's so clickbaity. Engineering. Game changer or game killer? Not clickbaity at all. Ooh, I like that. Game changer, game ender. I like that one. That's good. Hate to tell you this, but acronyms have been a thing since language was a thing. I'm not. Are you talking to somebody else? I was like, I get it. I just didn't get the LF concept. That's all. I just didn't know what the acronym was. Ooh, we're on 40. What are we talking about? What we think engineering is going to be like? So we're going to be doing a call-in show. So I'm going to set up in about 30 minutes or so. I'm going to set up the Discord, So on Discord, I have a stage. If you've ever done a Discord stage before, basically it lets you listen in live. And I will, let me set up the topic for that one. I used you and your love of lore in a paper for my ancient history class. Do tell, trader. Please elaborate. How did you do? What'd you do? This is your first time here? Welcome, Ben. So this is what we call a pub chat. It's a call-in show where I take opinions from the community at large to talk a little bit about what their feelings are. It's a new segment. I've only been doing it for the last couple of months, but it's on my long-running podcast for Star Citizen called The Captain's Table. So I have multiple channels. I do a lot of my streaming and content here on the Astropub Live and also on Twitch. Twitch.tv/theastropub. But my actual podcast is all posted on youtube.com/@thecaptainstable-podcast. And I do lore content as well, but I tend to not stream a lot there. I tend to do more just videos. Starfield sucks, but if Bethesda goes MMO with it like Fallout 76, they'll have a reasonably viable pew-pew to compete for quick and casual. Well, the paper was an ancient history, and of course they were talking about the mythology and oral history. The premises was if lore was still important. Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm glad you used me, because fictional histories tend to be similar in that sort of context as oral histories, because they tend to be more experiential. There's nothing written down usually. You have to transcribe stuff from game outside of game. But I'd still use things like lots of regional. What are they called? Regional culture stuff. Just oral history is super important. Most families still run off of oral history, let alone plenty of cultures today. Nothing but oral history.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never.
Bear trauma? I love bear trauma. It kills everyone.
Take away my space game.
Chaos Vice just resubscribed for 22 months. Engineering and Nix in viewing range. Guess we are feeling well, pub helmet.
Engineering and Nix in viewing range. I guess we're feeling well. Yeah, it's doing pretty good. Thank you so much for that 22 months of support there, Chaos. You're a very important pubber, very precipice, very pedestrian. That's your fault. The return trick night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. How do you think engineering will help affect ship soft death? It'll affect it a lot. I think in general it will improve the experience of soft death. 4.3.2 has been the worst patch in a minute. It's been the worst patch they've had all year. It just caused so many playability issues for so many people that it's I know a lot of people have just said, nah, it's not worth it. You were going home, Paul. I was home. Okay, so I have to say, I forgot to say this at the top of the hour, but I did play in Evocati. I did play Levski. I did get in Levski. There's some weird issues, and it's definitely lag ski, but hold on.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never,
Ever.
ever take away my space game.
CM Fool just resubscribed for 2 months. Hi, my name is Paul, and my favorite spaceship in the universe is the Redeemer.
Thank you so much for that 2 months of support. You're very important, Papa, very impressed, Mr. Rating Pedestrian. This is your fault. You're trying to drink a night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Fuck you, Sam. I came from a point of Norwegian and Scottish lore, and then I use your use of lore in Star Citizen as a way of storytelling and informing people who like to know backstories and history, even in a fiction genre. Okay, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. There's a joke that I've heard many historians and history teachers have bemoaned to me, which is you call something history for this current generation, nobody gives a fuck. You call it lore, and people will pay attention to everything you say. You call history lore, man, people will lose their fucking mind. Kids love lore. You know, they love to sink their teeth into lore. So if you refer to history as lore, it's sort of the same thing anyways. People will get invested into it. It is a magic word. I was always a fan of Data. Lore is an asshole. I do enjoy Data as well. I have a hard time believing most Star Citizen players who would rather jump into their own fighter and sit in a turret would be willing to stand at an engineering console instead without some tangible reward. I disagree, because the thing about engineering is that it's, from what I've heard and from what I've experienced in the past with their stuff, their whole thing, is that it's a lot more engaging than you think. There's a lot of maintenance. There's a lot of upkeep. There's also a lot of reactive, you need to do this, do that. Rerouting power, fixing locations, turning off and on coolers. There's more of an action than you think. For some people, the process is the reward. Sometimes the act itself is the cookie. Most gamers, I feel like that tends to be the focus. The reward is something CIG can figure out at some point, but if the gameplay is fun and engaging, people will do it. Will NGs get shit on by the captains all the time? Probably. NGs also need to get most captains. The job of a captain on a capital ship is to coordinate the crew. I have played enough spaceship games and other games that have like that sort of an organizational structure that you need somebody who can coordinate at high levels. And when you get a good crew, the crew will do things before you even tell them to do it. But you need, but captains are there to be cohesion. Because there's going to be a lot of stuff going on at once, and you can't have the pilot also telling the engineers and the gunners how to act. The pilot and the gunners need to focus on their jobs. The pilot needs to talk with the gunners to make sure that they're like aligning the guns properly so that they can get into roll. Same with like torpedo operators and such. And the captain's job is to designate. Welcome everyone from Lady Space Patrol. Your very important pub, a very impressive Pennsylvania pedestrian. Rock. Shots and cheers and chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. How you living? I'm living okay. Doing okay. It was a fun Halloween. Agreed. Don't necessarily need a reward if the game plays fun. Exactly. But I was just going over like how organization is important in games that CIG is like CIG is trying to build, especially with multi-crew. Pilots and gunners need to talk, but the captain needs to designate the targets. Engineers need to deal with problems, and often it's the pilots and the gunners need the engineers to allocate resources to them. But it's up to the captain to determine what resources go where, because you're not going to have enough resources to go around. So you need somebody who is the decision maker, whose job is all mental. It's all organization in the brain. This is from my experience from games like Star Trek Bridge Crew, Pulsar, The Lost Colony, Sea of Thieves. Having someone who acts as the captain, their job is effectively brain power. Take chaos, turn it into order. To an extent, it needs to work in a real world engineers would hate, or else it won't be fun. Exactly. We've had this conversation on Thursday where a experienced naval seaman who had dealt with fires said like it's unrealistic to have fires the way CIG does because it would have to be so hot it would kill everybody on ship. It's like, yeah, but it's a gameplay loop. Like most people in spaceships, you know, naval ships, doesn't matter, don't want fire on their ships because that's bad and it will kill you really quickly. But in the fictional universe like Star Citizen, fire is a consequence of gameplay. Purportedly a bosun or boatswain, yeah. Brain power and running around covering all the slack, basically, yeah. I feel like reward systems are absolutely essential for most gamers who, let's be honest, are not locked into these games as they used to be. There's a million things grabbing their attention. I disagree, only because I literally watched a video from a person who is not a Star Citizen gamer, who played Star Citizen and described Star Citizen as the anti-Skinner box game. Where it's not trying to grab your attention, it's trying to give you a canvas to paint. So if a normie gamer has that opinion as like the why they like Star Citizen, or why they like Star Citizen, this is somebody who's it's like a video, they've done video content on a bunch of different games. Percival was their name. That's the direction they're going with, yeah. Van, do you have space holidays, or are they going to attack us while we're distracted? It depends. They just attack when they want to. Y'all, I don't know why you're still arguing about acronyms. Seaman gameplay confirmed. Oh, the guy who was taken by a group and they showed him the beauty of this game? The Sweet Summer Child, yeah. So we're Abby normal? We ain't normies. If you're playing Star Citizen now, you are insane. This game is not done yet. It has got lots of problems. You are part of the special crew of early adopters. But you're crazy. Acronyms are gatekeeping? They can be. With engineering, how many players would be needed to effectively crew a Polaris? One for every gun, plus the pilot, and plus somebody for the torpedoes. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7 players minimum, plus probably at least 1 or 2 engineers, because you also have to deal with, like, there's somebody who's maintaining and managing the resources, and then you have to have people running around fixing some of this stuff. So you, in theory, you only need like 1 person as an engineer and 1 person as a mechanic, but you probably need more mechanics or possibly more engineers to do some of this stuff. So like minimum effective crew would probably be 10 people. Can you talk about Evo 4.4? I can. Lag ski. Performance is dog shit, but that's Evo. What I was gonna say before I got before people kept subscribing was that I went to go see Anthony Tanaka again, the Anthony Tanaka statue, and when I approached the Anthony Tanaka statue for the first time in years, I saw a wonderful thing. Players had taken plushies and placed them at the base of the statue. And knowing the history of Anthony Tanaka, I feel like that's a very touching moment. Because it's very much, Anthony Tanaka was a child who never had a chance to be a child. So it was giving giving gifts of childhood things to a soul who never had a chance to be a kid. And it made me go, this is something we need to do from now on. If you are visiting Black Levski for the first time, bring a plushie and put it at the base of the statue. And this is the kind of shit I love, because it's like it happened naturally. I didn't say anything. I just walked up and saw this and realized, oh shit, this is actually a really good idea. This would be a cool little cultural thing. Yeah, they had the Stormwall plushies. There's a lot of Picos there. Hi, Paul. Are there any good places for best in practice guidance for commanding a multi-crew ship, or indeed a task force of many ships? From my experience from the games I have played, generally speaking, always have people as specialists. Have people learn those specific skills, and then have them learn how to communicate with each other. Like a gunner needs to be able to effectively communicate with a pilot how to maneuver the ship so that they can get a better shot. So they need to be on the same wavelength. They need to be on the same, like they have to understand each other's how they're speaking, the jargon, or any sort of like commands. That's why it can be helpful to have everything be relayed not from person to person, because it can get chaotic, but from everyone to the captain, who then the captain will then issue the orders to everybody else. So the captain ends up as being the main communication hub for everything that's going on. But comms is essential. The other thing is generally have the roles be specified, be as specific as possible, so that people know what to do. What are your thoughts on replacing fuses with breakers in ships for engineering? I think it's a good idea. It's adds the same sort of feature where you can flip it. Basically, you just flip it when it trips, and you know, adds the fire hazards and stuff like that. The fuses aren't much of an issue, from what I've heard. I'd rather leave him a bottle of beer since he never had a chance to have one. That works too. There's going to be a huge pile of things in that statue. We're all going to need it. He needs its own shard for all the stuffed animals. Yes. Question: how are engineers going to deal with being flung around and maneuvering ships? That's a good question. I think CIG either needs to negate physics on players inside those engineering consoles, or they need to start giving those engineering consoles seats so players can actually manage them. For big ships, you probably need damage control personnel stationed in different sections. Yeah, it really depends on what ship you're running, but you need to, like, for instance, generally speaking, you should have a pilot, gunnery crew to fill out all the guns. You should have an engineer whose main job is to manage systems. And you need to have damage control or mechanics, whose job is to maintain specific components and also be responsible for fixing those components. In a smaller ship like a Corsair or a Connie, you probably only need one damage control person. But on larger ships beyond that, like Starfarers, Starlancers, Perseuses, Polarises, Idrises, you probably want to double or triple that number of damage control personnel just to be able to be in areas that can fix it really quickly. Engineer is the lead technician. Yeah. Yeah. The easiest solution is just, lock the player into the where they're standing. But that could cause some other issues. And having some ships with seats for that specific role would also help out differentiate the ships. Like, Drake wouldn't fucking spring for seats, fuck that. But Crusader, Anvil, Origin, the engineers should have seats. RSI, maybe not, that kind of thing. Yeah, add an animation where they're holding onto a bar, or they're slipping their feet under a bar. Like they're slipping their feet into some sort of like, lockdown, like in Helldivers, when the Helldivers go into the Hell pods, they step on it, goes ka-chunk, ka-chunk. You'd have something like that. Professor Paul, are we only allowed to ask about engineering? During the call-in session, the whole like topic is going to be engineering. You can ask other questions though. In theory, a Polaris, a fully operational Polaris should require at least a dozen people. I'm sorry if you already answered this. Medium ships, how demanding are they with engineering? From what I've seen, not that demanding. 1 to 2 people can manage most of the engineering on a medium ship versus, so you can have like a pilot, a gunner or gunners, and then like 1 or 2 engineers. So a ship like a Freelancer can have like 4 people on it. Are big ships going to get bulkhead doors for mitigating fire spread? Some ships do. That's the reason why the Polaris has so many doors. The same reason why all of the Crusader ships have so many doors. They were building them with that intent. A lot of the modern ships have those doors just to help stop the fire spread, but not all of them. That's Drake, for instance, doesn't, which is the reason why Drake is cheaper. So I need 6 people for a fully crewed Idris. Minimum, you would need 10. 1 for every major gun, and you could also swing the front cannon with also the torpedo bay. So that's like 5 people for gunners minimum, plus a pilot, so that's 6, plus an engineer, and then at least minimum one technician. 1 mechanic. And to manage all of those, you need a captain. Oh, we're talking about Perseus. I get Perseus and Polaris mixed up. Perseus has 2 guns, 3 guns, plus a pilot, so 4, plus a torpedo crew, so it's 5. Plus, you'd probably need an engineer and a technician, so that's 7. It probably needs about 7 people. And again, you don't necessarily the person who's on the torpedoes could also be a mechanic. So they're running around. If they're not on the torpedoes, they can run around and do damage control. So you could do that from 7 to 6. The 2 remote turrets are controlled by the same gunner. There are 3 seats on the bridge of the Perseus, a captain seat and 2 operator seats. One of those is a pilot, one of those is the co-pilot, and that co-pilot is the one that controls both the remote turrets. I think, given CIG's current trajectory, I think those remote turrets could also be controlled by the pilot. It just also needs an ATC person to manage hangar, assuming you have fighters going through. Not just that, you also need refuel and rearm personnel. So you'll need hangar crew to be able to rearm, repair, and refuel your fighters as they come in. Question, does the Starlancer attack's lack of sufficient escape pods annoy you as much as it annoys me? It's a MISC ship, not a Drake ship. Have we discussed your faith in the wonder that is the Endeavor yet, Paul? What I am the one of the high priests in the cult of the Endeavor. I thought the pilot could fire the torps in the Perseus. They might be able to, but there is a dedicated torpedo operator on the Perseus. Last week's check, there is a dedicated torpedo operator room. Perseus has torps now? It's always had torps. It's size 5 torps, but it's always had torps. Idris and the Hammerheads have blast doors. I don't know if they're working. They're all working yet. Some of them do. Yeah. And Parky's finding out that the Perseus has torps. Yeah, the Idris to be fully and effectively controlled. Now, it's important to remember, full effective crew of a ship isn't the same as fun. If you fully and effectively accrue an Idris, there'll be a lot of people doing nothing for a long period of time. But if you actually crew it like in a fun ways, you can have some people pull double duty. Unless you have an Endeavor Master Set, you are but a disciple. No, because I am a proselytizer. I am an evangelist. A Master Set is not even recommended. The Endeavor is a civilian capital ship. The way I like to describe the Endeavor is a Swiss Army knife of all of the different professions. It is so it's going to be a lot like a colony ship.
But you can never,
Ever.
take away my space game.
Northern Tech Hub just resubscribed for 11 months. We going home BOIS. Levski homeward bound.
It is glorious. It is wonderful and glorious. All right, now I'm going to have to thank you so much for that, Northern Tech Hermit, for that 11 months of support. You're very important pub, very precipice, very pedestrian. This is your fault, Ranger. Good night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. We'll get started. I'm going to go get some water here in a moment, and we'll get started with the call-in show in about 15 minutes or so. I already have the Captain's Table Live open, so if you want to join, I'm going to start the stage. Okay. So real quick. So if you want to join and have your opinion heard, join the audience, and I'll pull people up one at a time. Fully crewed capitals are going to be like a real Navy ship, sitting there with 2 thumbs up your ass for 50 minutes every hour. But those 10 minutes are going to be wild and chaotic. Arma. Someone asked me on Thursday, I never answered this. It's like, how will engineering turn Star Citizen to a more Arma-like game? And yeah, Star Citizen and Arma are very similar in terms of their design. If you've never played an Arma game, Arma is a secret logistics game. A lot of Arma, especially for large groups, is just getting everyone ready for the op, putting people in the right groups, and having people serve their purposes. So, be right back.
take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Stekuru just resubscribed for 12 months. Cheer stream.
take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Nicodemus_RHL just resubscribed for 20 months. Chair stream, let's go.
All right, I'm back. Let me set up. You set up the captain's table YouTube real quick. All right. So, if you want to have your opinion on engineering, join me in Discord. I'm going to start it here in a few minutes. Probably be a little late because I have to make sure I get some teams. Right now we have nobody signed up. So, !Discord on Twitch, on YouTube. Just check the description. You'll be able to find it there. Next, and it'll be at, I'll just say 3:15. add in the redirect. All right. Do I have a Pico plushie? I have multiple Pico plushies. Like in physically? No, I don't have a Pico plushie physically. Thank you, Nicodemus, for that 20 months of support. Hi, Chair. How are you? Sorry, I had to use the restroom and I want to get some stuff real quick. I'm gonna wait for the ad to finish, and I'll go over this one more time, and then we'll move over to the setup screen. Phew. Sneeze into focus. Is that better? Right. I'm good now? Okay. All right, y'all. I'm going to move over into the Captain's Table setup. We'll start here in a few moments. This is a call-in show about engineering. So if you want your opinions heard about engineering, if you play the engineering, or if you've seen the responses and you have questions or concerns, or just you're hyped about it, come join me live on Discord. Right now we only have 2 people. So this will either be, this might be a very short show, but I'm sure usually we'll have more people coming in. So !more Discord if you want to get on that. And yeah, let's get started. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna get something to drink. We're gonna get started here very shortly. I'm gonna move, if you're on YouTube, I'm moving the chat over to that YouTube next. I'll start up that YouTube video here in about like 10-15 minutes. Are we still live? We should be. Okay. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, watch streaks is a thing now. We'll get started here in about 5 minutes. Right now, we've got 3 folks. We've got Joe Caro, we've got Steve the Dancer, and we've got Alex. So that'll be in that order. If you want to join us, make sure you join us on Discord during at the Captain's Table Live stage at the bottom. Where do we sign up to go talk live? You're already there, Steve. You already signed up. So in about 5 minutes, we'll get started. And for those of you on YouTube, I will be moving over to the Twitch or to the Captain's Table YouTube here shortly. This might be a little bit of a shorter stream because once we get through all of the opinions, we will end the video. I might end up doing just like a quick chat, not a question answer session, but a quick chat. It's fine, Shadow Stalker. Yeah, if you're in the queue, you might want to mute because it'll have a weird echo where you will hear me twice, but a delay of a couple of seconds. So those of you watching on YouTube, when I end this stream, which will be here in about 5 minutes, you'll be able to, it'll automatically kick you over to the new stream, but that will be, it doesn't always work. So make sure that you're, if you can, just join the Captain's Table. You should go subscribe to the Captain's Table podcast YouTube anyways. Oh, I'm gonna make an announcement on Discord as well. Two minutes.